It's time for some ribs. Very excited. Been a little while since I made these. What I've got here today, I have a package. It was a 2-pack of baby back ribs. Came cryovac. I just took them, rinsed them off, patted them dry. Today what we're going to do with these is make some Kansas City style ribs. So I'm going to have this rub that we'll be applying here shortly, and then there's going to be kind of like a sweet, somewhat spicy tomato-based sauce that will be slathered on them prior to finishing. Now the first move with almost any type of ribs that you purchase will be to take a look at the back and see if it's got this membrane on it, which this one does. Most places where you buy ribs will not have them removed for you. Now you do want to take these off because they're kind of nasty, they're difficult, they will not break down while cooking, and it's just really chewy and not terribly appetizing. So the way that I like to remove them is I'll just kind of start, and you don't want to cut through. I kind of went all the way through here to the bone. You actually go just shy of that. I start with the knife, and then I'm just going to take actually some paper towel. Works really well because you can actually grip this. So I'm going to get my hands on it, and you can see it just peels right off. Like so. Okay, really simple step that's going to drastically improve the quality of your ribs. Like, look at this, that's just awful. So I'm going to do that with the other one here, and then we will talk about the rub and get that on. So here is the rub. It's already all blended up. Essentially this is fairly heavy on the brown sugar, and then I've got paprika, there's freshly cracked black pepper, kosher salt, garlic powder, onion powder, and cayenne in it. I'll have the actual breakdown of those ingredients in the comment section there. So now the move is to just give it a nice sprinkle over top. Just like so. You don't necessarily want to go too heavy on it right now because we're going to wind up reapplying a bit of the rub partway through the smoking process. And there's a chance that you can overdo it and it might wind up then being just a little too spicy, a little too salty, and that can ruin it for some people. So just a nice coating of it on here. Because these are the back ribs, I'm also going to add some to the thicker side of the meat on the back end of the rib. Let's do the same thing quickly with this one. And flip it over and coat the top half part of the ribs. So we're each getting a heaping tablespoon and then just a little bit more. I'm considering that decent enough for a coating here. Once this is all on here and you pat it on, you can just let it sit, ideally 30 to 45 minutes or so, just for everything to kind of set in. What I'm going to do, rather than tossing this in the fridge or leaving it on the counter, is I'm just going to take them out to the smoker and get it set up, because I actually prefer to have these in the smoker, almost cold smoking, taking on smoke as the smoker's getting up to temperature. So now that these are like this, I'm going to get them outside, get them set up on the smoker, and we will play with them from there. Hey now, check out these ribs. They've been sitting in here for almost half an hour actually already, just while I was getting the smoker all prepped up. You'll see below it, I've set my water pan, and in there, it's close to a gallon of water. I also threw in almost a cup of apple cider vinegar. I don't know how much that might actually help the finished ribs. However, I do know that it smells damn good while it's smoking. And I've got my charcoal all set up here. So the idea with the water pan is not only is it going to create a bit of a indirect heating, because the heat's going to come straight up from the charcoal, reflect off of and around this, so we're less likely to risk drying out the ribs, but then it also has the added benefit of all of this liquid steaming throughout as that direct heat hits it, and that's going to create a much more humid environment, and again result in a more moist finished product. All right, so at this point I'm just going to set up the charcoal, get it fired up here, and once that's going, we'll see what it looks like. Oh yeah, we got the old TBS thin blue smoke counter at the top there. So let's just open her up. Oh yeah, lots of smoke here already. You can see that charcoal still just kind of catching throughout. That's awesome. That's going to be causing this to further heat up the water and keeping these ribs nice and moist. Now once that charcoal kind of dies down, I do have some of these chunks of maple wood that I'm going to be using to supplement the charcoal for smoke. Alright, so we've been going for a couple hours here. Just going to add some more seasoning, rub to it. Flip over. I'm going to do 2 quick little coats of this. Now, these are definitely cooking up nicely. So I'll give them some of this rub right now, and then in about an hour I'm going to coat with some sauce, which I'll be making here shortly, and that's going to finish up these ribs. Awesome. Okay, there we are. All right, so I'm at the point here where I'm ready to make a sauce for this. So I'm just going to throw in a little olive oil there, and I've got some onion and garlic. So it's about a half an onion and it's 1 clove of garlic. I'm just going to saute this for a minute, and then I am going to be ready to add some spices. All right, so our veggies are pretty much good to go. Now I'm planning on using an immersion blender with this to mix everything up, which is why I left the vegetables so large. If you don't have one of those and you're trying to make the sauce, you would probably want to mince them and get all of those significantly smaller. But anyway, at this point I'm going to throw in the sugar and some of the spices. So I've got brown sugar, I've got celery salt, there are peppercorns, there's a little bit of chili powder in there, and I'm just going to let that get nice and mixed up. I'm also going to add some horseradish, so I've got a couple of teaspoons of some very vinegary horseradish that I made. Put that in here for a nice tangy kick, and I'm going to add some tomato paste. Out of there, stir it up. And I'm going to let this simmer for a little bit, and then I will blend it up. Okay, so this has been simmering for a little bit, and I'm just going to want to blend it up. This is a little bit thicker than I want it to be though, so I've actually got some turkey stock here that I'm just going to add to it. This is going to simmer for a little bit anyway, so it doesn't matter if it gets a little bit thinner than I would want my finished sauce. Let's do that. Blend it up a little bit here. Try and bust up those veggies a bit. Okay, I'm just going to add a little more stock there. So that's a whole cup of stock that I added to it. It's blending up quite a bit better. Alright, so after that has been blended up, you can see it's still a little bit chunky. That's totally fine. And actually that consistency isn't too bad, just a touch thinner than I'm going to want it to be. But I'll let that simmer for about 10 or 15 minutes, and then it will probably be ready to add to the ribs. Alright, it is time to get saucy. So I'm just going to quickly flip these ribs over. I'm going to grab my sauce, and I'm going to just get it all over top of here. Smoosh it around, baste it with this barbecue brush. Something here. Just a little bit of that sauce on there. This is one of 2 bastings. We'll baste again here right when the ribs are done. Just gonna get some of this sauce back in here, just so I have enough saved for the end. Make sure along this back line that it's got some sauce. Time to flip them over. Just gonna fill them with lots of flavor and keep them nice and moist while they finish up. More sauce here. Oh yeah. Going right on top of that rub that we applied again, which has baked on, which is fantastic. Oh, just flavor country here. Yeah, and any of that sauce dripping off is just getting in the water pan, which is continuing to steam everything, so certainly not a loss that way. All right, so we'll give that 45 minutes or an hour or so, and we'll come back and check on it just to finish up. So this is after about 45 minutes after applying that sauce. These ribs are looking fantastic. I'm just waiting on some of the side dishes to be ready, so I'm gonna just let them sit here. I'm gonna let the charcoal just start to cool down a little bit, and maybe 10 minutes before I'm going to pull them, I will reapply the sauce. Okay, so very slight change of plans. While I'm sure these ribs are nice and tender, they're still holding together well enough that I'm actually going to sauce and fire on the grill really quickly just to kind of sear them up a little bit. So stay tuned. Alrighty, so got my sauce right here. I'm just going to quickly baste the underside of these ribs along that bone portion and get their butts on the old grill here, which I've got nice and hot. Sauce them up. Oh yeah. So I'm going to put these on now the sauce side down, and while that's kind of crisping up a touch on the bottom, I'm going to sauce the top and then crisp that side up. Yeah, oh, we've got some sweet potato fries that we're going to be serving with those. So I'll get both these on here and sauce them up, and then we will be done. Just handling these guys on the grill, you know they're going to be super tender. Look at them, they are crispy, they are saucy, they're going to be fantastic. They're going to pair super well with these grilled sweet potato wedges. I can't wait to do this, and I need 2 hands for it. So until next time, keep her at 11, folks.